Welcome back to Public Affairs on Peach. I'm Kim Passoff. Today we are talking about the Zika virus with our guest Patrick O'Neill, Director of Health Protection for the Georgia Department of Public Health, and now he'll answer some of your questions. Here's the first one. Lee asks us, what are the odds of contracting Zika virus versus the West Nile virus?
Well, right now, Kim, the odds are not very good for contracting Zika virus because we've not identified any local transmission yet. We have not identified any Georgia mosquitoes that have that virus, but West Nile is amongst us, so the odds are much more in favor of West Nile right now than Zika.
So a good reason to protect yourself from mosquitoes again.
Absolutely.
Okay, our next question comes from Matt. This is the question he posted online. Does Zika lie dormant in a woman and become active if she becomes pregnant later? How does that work?
No, to our knowledge, Zika does not go through any type of dormancy phase. We do know that when folks catch the Zika virus, that it may be in their blood for generally about a week at a time, but then after that period of 7 or 8 days, it's over and done with. The exception to that is in pregnant women, where it seems to last a little bit longer in the bloodstream. It is not one of those viruses, though, that hangs around and lies dormant and acts up later.
Okay, and that was actually part of our next question from Bella. She asked, what are Zika's long-term effects on non-pregnant people? Are there any brain or other issues involved?
There may be, just like with any virus, after a viral infection, there is another condition that can occur generally a few weeks later called Guillain-Barré syndrome, which is a situation where the immune system of the person that may have been activated against the original viral infection seems to turn on the body itself and does damage to the central nervous system and causes what's known as an ascending paralysis. Most of the time that is self-limited. It does require care for a long period of time. Typically, sometimes folks even have to be on a respirator following that. But that is not a common thing, but it does happen after any viral infection, and certainly we're seeing it after Zika infections. Okay,
Christopher asks us, has this disease always been around, and if so, why are we just hearing about it?
That's a great question, and I think that there are probably a couple of answers to that. One is that Zika was first identified in the mid-40s. That doesn't mean that that's when it first started, but that's when we first identified it. Since then, it was not seen very much until recently. Now, I think there are two reasons for that. One is that in the 40s and 50s, global travel was not nearly as popular as it is now. And our state epidemiologist has a favorite expression when she says, these weird diseases are just a plane ride away. And that's true now because folks are traveling internationally. So that's why I think Zika has begun to spread, is because there's so much travel. The other thing that may be involved here, and we don't have good science on this yet, but viruses tend to change over time. They mutate. So a virus that may be fairly inconsequential at one point in time may change and become a virus that has heavy consequences, like causing birth defects.
You know, I know the CDC says that 4 out of 5 people that have Zika are asymptomatic, and for people that are not pregnant, the risks and the symptoms are really not that severe, mild fever, rash, that sort of a thing. Angela asked us, do regular antivirals or Z-Pak help mitigate some of those symptoms?
No, they don't. There's absolutely nothing in the way of either antiviral drugs or antibacterial drugs that seem to make any difference. And in most instances, even if they were effective, they probably wouldn't be indicated because the symptoms are so very mild when they occur. The only folks that tend to have bad symptoms are individuals that have a lot of what we call comorbidities, or other things going on in terms of other processes that are abnormal in their body, like let's say they're diabetic and they have complications of diabetes and they catch Zika, then you may see more problems. But it generally takes other diseases for this particular viral illness to be really serious, and one that we would even want to use drugs to treat.
All right, Patrick O'Neill with the Department of Health, thank you so much for joining us. And when Public Affairs on Peach returns, we will talk about work going on at one Atlanta hospital to develop a Zika vaccine.